Mancave Show. Welcome to the Mancave Show. Welcome to the Mancave Show.
MCS, The Man Cave Show, with your host, Damian Christopher.
Okay.
There we go. That's
Yeah,
what
we
it
didn't
was.
see that.
Perfect.
It just did a loading.
Yeah,
and
no,
that was
I got it. So now I didn't know there's a button at the bottom.
okay. Okay.
So appreciate that. Again, people gonna be late and they don't realize I'm on a time limit. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump right into this. So it's been crazy and everyone has their lane. I've been asked, aren't you going out to protest? And listen, one, I don't like crowds, as I explained that before. Two,
Yeah.
everyone has their lane and their platform. I'm doing what I can on my end. I'm supporting through my platform. Constantly mentioned, as you see my posts constantly, very aware of what's happening. And the thing that disturbs me the most is I'm all about the protest. I'm all about the voices being heard. And the pro of this is that the fact that finally this has become a worldwide situation.
Yes.
But the undertone is the fact that because of the pandemic, people want to get the fuck out.
Yep. Okay. I'm not gonna lie to you because that's one of the things that I was telling Naquan. I had no problem with going out there, but I still wanted to keep my space. So the strategy of how we did it and everything and stuff like that is I told him, let's go outside. So we was in the back of the crowd, and we was in front of the cops.
Gotcha.
Hey,
hey, Melina. Melina Baez just joined in. I'm assuming you're near Paula. Are you guys together? All right. And did you see? I can't hear you. Your mic is off.
Yeah, she's managing something right now. She's coming right back.
All right. This is Jason Parsons, a very good friend of mine, stylist extraordinaire. We've worked together for a couple of years. And he's been on the show several times, actually. And he's been from season one. Season 1 and season 2, Jay?
Season 2.
Season 2. Okay. We were just talking about how things are going in their neighborhood because they live in the heart of what's going on in Brooklyn. So you were saying, Jay?
So I was saying that when we was out there that first time and everything, as I said, we was behind the crowd because I didn't want to be in the front or in the middle.
Right.
So I took it upon myself to be in the back. So there would be space between me and the people in the back, and there's space between me and the cops that were in the front of us. So yeah, that's what I was telling you. We was out there for a while. We walked, and we came home. He took some pictures. It was a really heartfelt protest. It was really, really, really heartfelt. Like you could feel it. But I felt when we was at the protest.
Naquan Ross. Is it Ross Parkins? Parkins, not Ross?
Ross.
There we go. Thank you. One of my favorite couples, and love you guys. This is Melina Baez, educator on the line. So hey, yeah, you and Naquan have something in common. You both are with the DOE.
Yes.
Wherever he decides to come back.
He's coming.
Sorry, I didn't make my tea. Sorry.
What does he do in the DOE?
I'm a paraprofessional. I'm a para.
Inclusion, District 75.
No, all inclusion, general ed, in South Shore campus. I work for Ace High School Academy for Conservation Environmental, right there on Flatlands.
I work in Brooklyn, but in Marcy Avenue in Williamsburg.
In Williamsburg, okay. In high school or junior high school?
I'm junior high school, 7th and 8th grade.
D75 or gen ed?
Good. Now we got the introductions out the way. Melina, let me ask you this. First of all, I want to say thank you for joining the Man Cave Show for the first time. Melina.
See?
Even though you've been in the Man Cave Show several times, well, the Man Cave. I want to ask you this. What have you perceived from this whole situation regarding the protests? Okay, let's transition this. What have you perceived from the pandemic to the protesting? Like this whole situation that we're currently in right now. What is your perspective?
It makes complete sense. It's about time. I mean, I think that it's been a very long time due for the change, and it's like gotten to a point where it just can't be ignored. And I think that's the Washington D.C. mayor trying to say, and that's why she wrote in big yellow lines. You can't miss that. There's no way you can miss that. And I think that's the whole entire point. It's like we can't make it more obvious. There's no other way to make it more obvious.
Okay. We're in 2020 now, decades and centuries from when police brutality and abuse of so many non-Caucasians have been ostracized, abused, murdered. So many people have gone to jail. Too many, a lot of cases of police brutality have been passed out and thrown out and just ignored completely. And this is straight spectrums across the board: Blacks, Latinos, Asians, people of different religious sects across the board. Kinsler Jaboya, AK, what's up, my guy? Thanks for joining in. AK, you there? Is your mic on?
It should be.
Oh, that's our day. Oh, I know. Okay, your camera is
Tilted.
so tilted. There we go. So, okay, so certain things that gotten, I want to bring this up to you guys' attention. A couple of bullet points that bothered me within just the week, period. Okay, outside of Trump's speech, I know Naquan or JC probably heard it. If you guys haven't heard Trump's speech, he rambled on, and talked about the comment that was made in regards to the protesting. He more or less jumped on the rioting, and since we have the devices of people recording and catching motherfuckers out there, people are infiltrating these protests, these peaceful protests, and making it look bad on the whole umbrella of protesting, where cops have been seen cutting gates, smashing windows on their own. White people now, because we have to wear masks, think that their identity is being covered, and protesters are stopping them and capturing them. How this protest is still supposed to be peaceful, and how now we know why that all these negative situations are being agitated by the police. So outside of Trump's stupid ass comments, which a lot of people in his own party are leaving, essential workers who have badges that are allowing them to work are being arrested. Fake protesters that are out there, which I've seen, and videos are out there of white people taking pictures and posing with Black Lives Matter and faking that they're actually helping just for photo ops and then leaving. The Dominican War of Dominicans up in Washington Heights fighting and chasing blacks out of their neighborhood. Have you guys on top of any of this?
Well, when it comes to the Caucasians, as far as like doing posters and pictures of loitering, yeah, we're on top of that.
We actually was in the city on Thursday, actually. After I had my meeting, I went to go see my cousins in the hospital. We went to the city, and we was part of the protest down there also on 14th Street. And on our way walking down Soho, it looked like kind of like a war zone. Like everything was boarded up. I never thought I would see Soho boarded up.
Yeah.
But then I went to, it was an ice cream museum. And in the ice cream museum, there was a girl who owns it. We met the owner of the ice cream museum, and she basically was painting up like a pink wall and said ice cream, all the people's names. And she actually painted. She painted a whole wall. She bought up her store and put all the names on it that passed away from the hands of cops, in pink and white. And she got backlash from it because she's a white woman, and she felt so bad. She did misspell Ahmad first name wrong, but you know what? Teachers misspelled my name for many years, right? But my thing is, I told her, I said, there's not too many, not every white person is bad, right? There are some that's there fighting a fight, and has been fighting a fight since Harriet Tubman, trying to get them through the Underground Railroad. I said, you keep on doing what you're doing. You are using your platform as a voice, right? And because so many of us come to your museum, you did this for us, right? And she felt really bad. Like she was really bad because they was trolling her on Instagram. I seen a picture of it.
So Naquan took a picture, but my picture is on Instagram. I put it up about We all could scream for ice cream but right now and forever, we need to scream for injustice, police brutality, and discrimination.
Okay. Parkins. Where are you, mister? You know, you made your Instagram very easy. You're not following me on Mancave Show, Jason?
No, I didn't know about Mancave, but I know about Julius Bryant. So yeah, that I know about. Yeah. There you go.
Okay, I have to check that out. Okay, so let me jump into this, and I'm not sure. I'm not into the politics and all that stuff. I've never liked, nor have I agreed with anything our elected officials, Governor Andrew Cuomo, nor Bill de Blasio, have been saying. I think they're blowing smoke of a lot of people's asses. And what got me this week is I try not to follow them, but they're in my feed on Twitter, and I'm constantly blasting them out because I'm showing them that what they're saying on the news is contradictory to what's really happening. Okay, and this is what gets me. And I think I made a comment to you the other day that I like what Charlemagne the God said on the Breakfast Club. It took a riot. No, excuse me. It took a murder and a protest to cure coronavirus, and all of a sudden, Governor Cuomo, after everyone is out and about in crowds and in droves, says, "Oh, we have a curve in the coronavirus." That it's just like, so you don't know what to believe. Hence, I'm not wearing a mask in the streets when I go. I only bring a mask when I have to go into a store. You know, I've actually had to snap at a woman that sits on my stoop, doesn't even live in this building, asking me, "Oh, you don't wear a mask, you must be a Trump supporter." I had to give it a look. I didn't want to entertain her ignorance on that. And so, what is your take on that? You know, you don't hear anything about Corona now, right? Too much.
We do not. It's more or less right now about the protests and the slight riots that's going on right now. The only time you actually hear about it really is if Governor Cuomo talk about it or Mayor de Blasio.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, what gets me, what I'm saying, the point is, now we have a curve. With all the crowd of people that's out there, there's a particular curve that it decreased, but there were people that were dying from it when we were still staying home. Doesn't make sense.
Hey, can I chime in real quick?
Yeah, of course.
I just feel like there's no Corona. Because if there was Corona, after a few days of all these protests and looting, well, not extra, but you know what I'm saying? There would be more people reporting in the hospital of sickness and death, but there isn't. In fact, it's quiet for that, like as if it never happened.
That's my question. It makes you think. And I said this when it first came out. All of a sudden, everyone's dying of Corona. No more cancer, no more AIDS, no HIV, no brain tumors, no nothing. And then all of a sudden, everybody's dying of coronavirus. Are you fucking kidding me?
Because that's not the main topic to talk about right now.
But not even that. But still, it's a side-by-side situation.
Yeah.
It should be a side-by-side.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead, Mark. You don't have to raise your hand. Wow.
Nika raises her hand.
I know, right?
I didn't want to interrupt, so I just wanted to.
No. This is why we're here.
Maybe what it is that the coronavirus is out there, and it just hasn't gotten to them because it takes a while for you to develop symptoms. Yeah. So it could be one that they haven't developed the symptom as of yet. I mean, you have within 5 days to start getting the symptoms. That's one. Or two, a lot of the protesters are young. Most of the protesters are young. So it could be that the individuals who are getting it are just not going to show any symptoms at all.
Plus being asymptomatic, so you don't show no symptoms at all. So you could be a carrier and you could be around 100 people and some of those people could end up getting it too just because you're out there and you're not showing no symptoms whatsoever.
But I understand that. One more time, what I'm saying is this. All of a sudden, the curve has dropped.
Thank you. Let's make sense, please.
That's all I'm saying. It's like, it doesn't make sense.
No more maybes. Definitive answer. This is math and science.
So, and that's what I'm just like, it doesn't make sense. Why, with all the crowd that's going on, all of a sudden no one's feeling anything, everyone's asymptomatic? It doesn't make sense.
I haven't heard of coronavirus since these protests have started. I'm waiting.
Say it again, Toast.
Not as important as
that has died from protest since this coronavirus situation has started.
Yeah.
Has a cop died during these protests here from coronavirus? Have you heard anybody die from the coronavirus since this
They're
protest?
not gonna
You know.
it's not gonna be on the news because it's not as significant
It's
as
not a, yeah.
the protest. And I'm actually happy that they're not putting it on news because I don't want to focus or be scared to go out there.
Yeah.
No, but here's the thing.
It's been going on for months.
Apparently, no one should be scared, period, because, you know, people are wearing their mask, you know, and that's a good thing. But the thing about it is, I understand what's happening, which is polarized, but if the coronavirus was such a polarized situation, they need to be dealing with both of them simultaneously. And what our elected officials have been doing is absolutely nothing but talking, like I said before, smoke out of their ass. Okay? If it's such a big situation, handle both. Talk about both. Okay? Our governor is sitting in Jersey, wherever he's at, and he's not in New York. He's in Jersey. He's talking shit and not doing anything about it. Yeah, he's with the protesters, what he said over a week ago, but he's not with the protesters. If you're really with the protesters, get your ass out of the office, be on the front line, talk to the police, and let them know if nothing is going on, you know, be out there on the front line. Don't sit in your high castle and talk because it means nothing. Yes, Bill de Blasio happened to get out of his house because his daughter was not only just arrested, but she was hurt. That's the only reason why we have this fucking curfew, because it attacked his family, bitch ass.
Well, we already know when it comes to Mayor de Blasio, if it's not for him, it's not gonna rock. It's
Exactly.
Like when his son was in the school system and his cell phone got taken away for many years, there was no cell phones allowed inside the schools. And then as soon as the cell phone was taken away from him, it was now students can have cell phones inside the classes, and then it was now it's up to admin on how they want to run the school with their cell phones. So if it's not for him, that's why. That's when his daughter got arrested. I said, I want to know what you're gonna say now. Go protest, everybody. Speak your mind. Because before he was like, be careful, don't protest, be careful when you walk in because we still got the coronavirus going on. And I was like, I want to know how it's going to go. Now he's like, he's out there, he's talking to the protests. He's like, I understand how you feel. So now he's getting backlash again from the cops, right? And now people booing him at the same time.
Right.
You know, my thing for the protest is that was one of the concerns I had about the whole COVID-19 was, oh my gosh, the numbers going high, right? Because all we heard was from March all the way to now, everyone, if you look at your news feed, like 100 people died in one day on your news feed. Every time your news was RIP, 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 and we were like, wow, how did these people die? And then you realize, click, everybody can't be dying from COVID-19. And then
Exactly. Now, let me say this real quick. I wanted to, Darrell, my good brother Darrell Demps is ghost writing right now. Can you please join in the conversation, young sire? Put on your video and jump in. He's an educator that's out in
Washington. I can't be on the video right now, but I'm listening to everything. How's everybody?
We're good. How you doing?
Good. Doing well.
Read my face.
Yeah. Go ahead. What's up?
So listen, before you jumped in, I was talking about how all of a sudden this martial law has allowed essential workers to work here in New York City, but the cops are only attacking essential workers of color after 8 p.m. We also already know the polarization of police brutality. All of a sudden it's become an issue where we've been fighting it. Our people have been fighting this for years and leaving it up to our legislators who haven't done a damn thing. What is your take on Trump's speech that he mentioned in regards to African Americans? You're living poor, you're destroying your own stuff. And the protesters who are out there faking protesting, taking these, especially the white people, doing these photo ops.
So the first thing that came to mind was watching the Spike Lee movie about the soldiers, the Tuskegee Airmen, and when they had the propagandists talking to them about surrendering, because that's really what it was. It was all propaganda. And that was the first thing that came to mind. The man has a sick mentality. So now we have to get back to our own neighborhood type of security. You know, once upon a time in our neighborhoods, we didn't necessarily, the police knew us, we knew them, but we also knew we had people in our community that would always protect us and keep them out of doing dodgy shit to us. And I think that's something that has to, continue. We really got to get back to keeping our own community safe because we know they're not going to do it. And we need to vet the people who are in the community through our city council, holding them accountable, through your I guess, what do you call them in New York? All of your local officials have to be put on notice that they won't tolerate this in all these different boroughs. It just can't happen anymore.
Darrell, can I pause you on a second for that right now? And I made this comment the last time, I think, Naquan, you and I had this conversation off camera in regards to, we don't know who the fuck they are. Because only time we hear something about who's running for something is we get it in the mail when elections come up and you please vote for so-and-so, please. And like, we don't know who they are until it comes down to elections.
That's everywhere.
They don't make themselves polarized or accessible.
No, they're not. They're not going to. Really what they want is
there's no reason, then we can't talk to them. There's no reason we can vote for somebody that's not going to do anything for us.
You find them and you put them on your schedule. When we voted people into this, when we looked at city council people and we were vetting them, we made them come to us, or we made appointments with them to sit down and tell them what we were really concerned about as far as evaluations, as far as a lot of different issues. That's what we have to do with all of our issues. If they don't come to us, we're going to have to come to them. I don't care if it's just a block. In some neighborhoods, people start signing petitions and send them, and they hold office hours and they go in there and sit with those people and tell them, listen, I put a city council person on notice about the crime on a block away from me. I was like, look, you grew up in that area. You know that that's not going to change, but you also know you need to do something about the flow of traffic up in there. And yeah, I know. Next time I saw him, what are you going to do? And that's what we have to do now.
But that's different in your area. You're in Washington, D.C., where everything is political. We're in New York, Brooklyn area, where people don't make themselves accessible. We don't know who these people are. We don't know where their offices are.
Look, I get everywhere around the country is different, but I also get there's strength in numbers and going in and holding these people accountable. I'm serious.
One more time. We don't know where the hell they are. Does anybody in Brooklyn know where these people are?
When it comes to the assemblyman and the councilwoman in Brooklyn, New York, it's very hard to get them. Now, I can get to the borough president. The borough president, which is downtown Brooklyn, Mr. Eric Adams, it's easy to go down to him because he actually makes himself available for people, right?
So what does the assemblyman do for the borough?
They're supposed to be the voice of their area, right? You come to them, you speak to them. Like, for example, if you say there's so much crime on your block, they come and investigate, see what the crime is, and see how can we protect our people.
So let me ask this question. While you guys were out protesting, has any of these assembly people, council people, politicians of the borough been out?
Oh, well, I haven't seen them. But
we haven't heard about them, right?
But you know where I seen them at, though? At the West End Day Parade behind the Brooklyn Museum, getting free drinks and free food and doing photo ops. That's where I saw them.
But one of your assemblymen in Brooklyn actually got arrested and roughed up at a protest, and he informed them that he was coming, and he informed them that he was there, and he got jumped or something by the police. I want to say jumped because that's pretty much what it is.
All right,
one more thing.
Hold on, Toast about to chime in. Go ahead.
We're not realizing is that regardless of who's in power, who's in place, no matter what race or creed or whatever the case may be, they can make all the promises they want. It's all propaganda. At the end of the day, they're going to make promises, say they're going to do these things, and then when they get in office, how, as we the people, going to hold them accountable? What's the backlash if they don't fulfill the duties that they promised to fulfill? That's the problem in all politics. They give you a bunch of bullshit, which is propaganda, and there's no accountability for them. You know who they're supposed to report to? The people that fund their campaign is who they worry about. Us, the people, is not their concern. It's their pockets. Who allowed me to be in position? Who funded me and gave me the money, and what's their agenda? I need to fulfill that first. That's how
you guys said you're not always able to get your assemblymen. Same thing with our neighborhood ANC commissioners. I get that. That's when you go the next step. Like Tokes just said, you find out where they're getting their money from, but you also make sure you flood their inboxes, the congressmen and the state senate. You start contacting those people. And if you don't hear from them, because I don't want a form letter. I want to sit in their office. I don't care about an assemblyman or ANC commissioner of any sort, because to me, you're just somebody looking out into the neighborhood. I want to see who the congressperson is for that district. I want Yvette Clarke, right? I don't know. I want to see who these people are that I need to go into their office. Jeffries, isn't he the state senator? You go in there and sit in those people's offices and you ask them. Then you start talking to their campaign donors. But you're going to have to be persistent because it really is an uphill battle across the nation.
Okay, let me ask you this question then. Have you heard the speech from Keisha, what's her name, in Georgia? All right, the mayor in Georgia. Okay, so
Yeah.
the other day she made a speech in regards to take your asses home. She speak like a black woman. Take your asses home, and the biggest thing to get anything done is to vote. Now, here's my thing. First of all, majority of people in low-income neighborhoods, we already know this, have track records in regards of being in jail and or arrested. We already know how that law goes. If you have a track record that you've been in jail, you can't vote. If majority of the people that's in those neighborhoods have those records and they can't register to vote, that shit's out the fucking window. Secondly, if with all these people, a lot of these people who wants to get voted into these offices, they only campaign and we find out who they are because they're polarized during election time and election time only. So with those two situations going on, how the hell can we get the right people in and then they keep pushing vote, vote, vote when a lot of us cannot vote? And I know you can't answer that question, but what is the right route for that?
Where are your grassroots groups that are vetting these people who are running for office right now?
We don't know. We as the people don't know.
Are going into the low-income neighborhoods to start registering people to vote on Saturdays in front of the grocery stores.
Nobody comes out here.
There has to be groups in Brooklyn. I'm of course being optimistic. I get what you're saying clearly, but somebody has to start getting people voted. What legislation is being passed right now to overturn, which has been overturned in many different states, the laws, if you have a felony, you can get back to vote. Where is that legislation going? It's being informed. Find out where that legislation is going, because New York, of all places, should have some kind of legislation to pass or en route. It might keep getting rejected. I get it. But where's that legislation going right now to allow ex-felons to vote?
I don't think you guys are looking at it from a politician perspective. If you're a politician and your objective is to get votes, right, you're going to go on places and protest and speak in places where people are majority going to have the opportunity to vote and will vote. Those people are usually taxpayers, and those people are usually middle-income people or high-income people. So when you look at politicians, they don't really care about the poor community because those are not going to be their majority voters.
Not
Even
until
that,
they vote to say. Not until you press them. When you start pressing them, we have Southeast DC. We have neighborhoods that those people are continuing to press their people, but that they don't want in office, to replace them with people they want in office who are really going to hear them. And that has to do with people in those neighborhoods demanding that whoever is representing them get the hell out.
Okay, so we got that one. So I want to okay, so I'm going to throw this question out, and I know none of us are psychic, none of us are future seers or purveyors of seeing what's going to happen. So let me start with the ladies, Melina and Paula. After, I don't even want to call it the New World Order because it has to be considered a New World Order, but when things calm down, and they will, what do you think might come out of this? That's including pandemic and protest.
Well, I'll talk about education-wise because my mom mentioned this to me the other day, that 10 years from now, you'll see fourth graders or, 10 or 12-year-old students that never returned back to school because they didn't have a proper, home base to help them get through education being at home.
With the with you guys, because you guys all work for the Department of Education. With that being said, with the homeschooling and all this internet stuff, have you come across, and I think Naquan, we talked about this last time, have you guys come across that have all your students actually tuned in, or do you think that for those who are supposed to be going to the next grade with this happening, do you think they will allow them to go to the next grade? How are they being tested, like their finals and their midterms?
For region.
Well, they cancel the regions and they cancel the citywide testing because of the fact that you're not in school. So what they're doing, I know for high schools, is if you're in a class that consists of a regents class, you get that regents credit. For elementary schools, I'm not mistaken, also for junior high, please correct me, if the student passed the math class or the English class, they get the credit for the citywide math and reading test. So automatically they're doing no student is left behind. If a student doesn't, I know in high school, if a student doesn't do the work, they get a NX grade or NS grade, something like that. Whereas they had to finish the work up in summer school, but they were still pass. So the chance that this thing is basically no one's left behind. That's been the thing for a while now. No kid left behind. When I was in school, when I didn't do well, my teacher gave me a 45. And Joanne had my face against that wall. So I don't become the paint part of projects. We live in the projects, and everybody knew hurt her mouth. But now you can't give a kid a 55. You give a kid a 65 now. So I'm like, y'all got it good, you know? So right now, this whole, with the pandemic, and also they're also keeping in mind now with the protests, there's a lot of youth out there protesting.
Which I've noticed. It was good then, yeah.
There's a little girl, and everybody's seen a picture, a little girl got maced in the face by a cop. And had to pour milk on her. There was another man who had his daughter or son on his shoulder.
On his shoulder, and the cop had the gun, yeah.
And the cop had the gun. Like, I would have lost my mind. I would have became Sophia from Color Purple and probably hit that cop. Because I don't know why you can't be crazy. Are you out your mind?
Yeah, that's terrible.
What if it made a state and pulled that trigger?
Wow.
You know, so so it goes back to education. They're now lessen the workload for the kids because they see that it's now becoming detrimental for their mental health as well. They feel spite and they're emotional. It's a lot. It's a lot for them.
You know what I think?
I'm sorry.
No, you know what I think that there's no accountability in the Department of the Department of Education. We're accountable for how we treat and speak to the kids, right? We get one opportunity. You mess that up, you get an investigation. That investigation don't go well for you, you're out of the DOE. You'll never work in any city employment again. When it comes to the cops, there's no sensitivity training. There's no accountability for their actions. Even that video recording should automatically span to the entire world and say, you know what? Maybe we should approach things differently. That was a child. But let it be a reverse role where it's a man and a woman having a dispute with their child. Somebody has to go to jail, right? But here's a cop putting a gun on a child and a man who's not armed, and there's two cops, but we still need to pull out a gun. We still need to apply pressure for whatever reason. They didn't even say, you know what, at least walk to the car or let's walk this direction. They didn't do any of that. All of it was forced while the child was in the midst of another man's hand. To me, there's just no sensitivity training. There's no accountability for that. There's no humanity involved in that. Even with the white man who got pushed, like he's an old white man. We got children and old people. I thought the gangsters know those rules. You don't go after women, children, and old people. But cops don't have those rules. They don't apply to them.
So wasn't there something that happened in during the fall? Wasn't there some election that was going on in regards to some bill supposed to be passed called police accountability? It was supposed to be I know that was out in the mail, and I know I voted for it as well. The last election we had was regarding police accountability.
It wasn't passed because the thing is, you could vote for it, but it has to pass. You know, it has to pass. It always have that. You might have it could be all of us on here saying we were voting for it, but it might, for example, it might be Darryl say no. So that one non-vote or that three non-vote would be all right. Let's bring it back to the table. Why they said no. You know, it's very interesting. Like just recently, Governor Cuomo just did an executive order for special ed kids to get visitation to get the services they need. They've been asking for that for a while. Teachers been asking for them for a while because they are not getting the services. These kids are failing the classes. And
So many states are in violation of special education policy, as well as when they defunded and took Head Start and started using those funds for pre-K for all. That's all good and fine, but when it was a Head Start federally funded program, which it still is, those schools had better operations. But now you fund it and you put it in with the general education fund, and what happens? School districts across the country are losing that early childhood funding, which is essential. So if you're not gonna fund the entire thing, don't take Head Start funds and mess them up and then lose the funding from the federal government. That
But it
being
makes
said,
sense
They like
because
to reallocate funds.
it makes sense because special education there are so many minority. It's mostly based off of minorities.
that's
that
the
are
first thing they try to
misguided-
put our kids in.
that
That's
are
the first
misguided
thing
and
they put our
misjudged
kids
because
in.
once you get an IEP, it is difficult to not have it anymore. And even when you do, there are people in the Department of Education who have the same mindset as these police officers. It's the feeling of power. It's all a power trip.
Let's not talk about how much money they get for every kid by IEP. We're talking about over $2,000 per kid. So they got the money. They got the money right now during this whole thing. New York City is talking about we got the highest budget cut. Cut the police officers, defund them.
Exactly.
And that was something that was out there. So guys, I want to say this. We're running out of time. I got the timer finally up. I hope you guys got a chance to see the disclaimer that this is being recorded. It will be posted up on the YouTube channel of MCS The Mancave Show. And of course, Sherman would come in last minute. So Sherm, thanks for coming in last minute. We're about to close in. You missed a great in-depth conversation here. I just want to end this off real quick. And one question, you guys have 30 seconds to answer this. What would you like to see happen after all of this is over? Naquan and Jason.
So when it comes to this, what I would want to see is social injustice being defeated. As far as the police looking at us as equals, not having riots because somebody died. I want to see businesses get back on track because, as I said, when we went down to when we was in Soho, it was a ghost town. Like it was literally a ghost town. Like, so I would love to see businesses get back on track and social injustice be just like gone.
For me, real fast, I want to see if you become an officer and you from the hood, let that person come to their hood and govern their neighborhood. Right? So that at least they know their neighborhood, they know what's going on, and they're not afraid of the neighborhood. And don't have people come to their neighborhood who never been to East New York, who never been to Bed-Stuy, who never been to Brownsville because they get afraid. Right. So we get people who are going to become cops, who's from the hood, let them police and govern their hood because they know how to maintain it.
Gotcha. Let me get you, Darrell.
I want more people to become active so that these people won't come into our communities and pass policies such as our special education policy, such as our police policies, and hold these people accountable. I don't care what venue you use, you have to become more active. And we need wraparound services for our families so our kids won't be deemed as special education when it's really a social emotional component.
Gotcha. And I know, Sherm, you just came in on the last bit. You were able to see the whole show on YouTube. Did you catch the last question?
Yeah, you guys were talking about.
Just asking, what would you? The last question was this because we're running out of time. Was you have 30 seconds to answer. What would you like to see after all of this is over between the pandemic and the protesting?
I just want equality, man. I just want our kids, our culture to actually, unite and be together with each other, because I feel like we're missing that component in our culture. Like we don't really unite with each other. So hopefully, this helps us come together and stay together instead of being separated all the time or looking at each other like, oh, I'm better than you, or all of that stuff. So I feel like we have to get past that part of uniting together, and which we are doing right now with all these different rallies. And I feel like it's beautiful. And I feel like if we can keep that bond with each other, Black culture, we could do anything. We can help each other with businesses and stuff like that. So yeah.
Right. Paula and Melina?
I think that somewhere that they should start investigating is this TCI training. So teachers are currently being mandated to take TCI training. If we can't hit a child and we get cursed at our faces all the time, they should be able to handle the same thing. I hope that they get better training against discrimination and take bias training. And I think that's just the beginning. Like there's so much that needs to be done.
We're never gonna get over fighting for equality. This fight's been going on for years.
Exactly.
The pandemic is not gonna change anything. The protests are not gonna change anything. And next month, please, I hope no one else dies, but I mean,
yeah. All right, Brian, I know you just tuned in real quick. Could I hear you? Are you there?
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Can't see you, but we can hear you.
I'm trying to figure out how to do this video thing. I don't really use Zoom. How I feel about this, I feel like, I understand people are hurting. We're all hurt, and we tired, I should say. I don't agree. And with all these businesses being damaged, especially Black businesses, they work so hard to get there. They sacrifice everything, their families, everything that they have to see it get burnt down and destroyed. And the whole goal is Black Lives Matter. And that's something that bothers me. I understand the rioting aspect though. When people are tired, it's the voice of the unheard. But unfortunately, there's no real nice way to put this, but we have to segregate peacefully. And I don't mean that in a way, I don't want anyone to misinterpret that. But what I say by that is like, when you go down to Chinatown or you go down to Little Koreatown or you got the Indian spot or wherever, you know what I'm saying? Nobody trips out if you can't read the words on the front of the sign. You just understand this is where I'm at. It's a cultural place. It's more of an experience, honestly. And that's what we need. We need our own.
Not to cut you off, Brian, because we're ending real quick. Prince Ade.
I just think that everyone should just look at it from a perspective of accountability. Just look at it not just from the cops' accountability, but those who are in charge, those who are in power, those who make the rules, those who switch on and off, those who with a word can change anything, those with a sign of paper